Hey Pisces, thanks for dropping in with me. I appreciate you being here. We're going to drop into your collective energy to get a read for you on what's coming in for you during this very significant Pluto retrograde cycle that kicked off on May 2nd in the sign of Aquarius and will continue its slow backwards motion until it ends up in Capricorn, eventually going direct in that sign on October 11th. In the initial phases of the retrograde motion, though, it's all about the internal work. It's not about what's happening outside of us. It's not about what's happening with the other. It's all about our inner work, our shadow work, how we can really move through this process in a dynamic way to achieve a big win. Once we hit that point when it finally goes forward, we'll have a better idea of what will work for the future, what plans we need to put into action. This is going to be for any significant Pisces placement, or if you have a prominent placement in that 12th house, or if you happen to be a Virgo rising, that makes you a Pisces descendant, and you may find resonance with this message. I do have to say that you got a pretty intense cycle with this retrograde. I think you're already familiar with this territory just from last year, but for you, this is going down in your 12th house. So we know that this is such an extremely significant karmic cycle for you. There's a lot that's being balanced out in the scales of justice in that Libra South node at this time. There's debts that need to be paid. There's things that need to be balanced out. There's cycles that need to be closed, things that have outlived their purpose, time for you to move on to new horizons. But I do feel like you're really going to be integrating some pretty deep stuff emotionally. You may be discovering things about yourself that you weren't aware of. I feel like there's going to be a lot of subconscious motivations within you that you're going to become aware of. I did get a message for Pisces that something that was hidden is going to be revealed. And this sort of like sets you off on an internal process. Now, this may be aspects of yourself that you're becoming aware of, discovering motivations you have that you were sort of disconnected from, and there's been some change in your circumstances that now starts to highlight this for you. This may be what you're in the process of right now. You might also discover others' intentions, or you might have had some kind of event that revealed a secret in a relationship, or a secret in some kind of situation that you were enmeshed in, involved in. And this has sort of sent you into this phase of really grappling with this on an internal level. Now, since it is going down in your 12th house, and this is all about the journey of integrating psychologically, sensing with our intuition, leaning into our feelings, discovering our motivations, you know, all that fun shadow work, I do feel like you're really going to be called upon to have compassion. But I feel more so than anything, it's about compassion for yourself when you're doing this internal work, and being gentle as you start to discover places where you're like, oh, I really should have handled this better, or this is why this kind of went awry, or this is my piece to hold, because it's all about the piece you hold. So let's just open up this energy and see what is coming in for you, Pisces, around this Pluto retrograde cycle. First, we're going to focus on the internal work, the healing work, the personal healing work, and then we'll look at how that will externalize in the fall when we have that forward motion. We do have some significant transits coming in too. All right, I do feel like you're looking at what is the cost of victory? What is the cost of success in this situation? Or how was a certain level of success or advancement achieved? And this is sort of what is the baseline of the energy. Yes, judgment around this. You may even be dealing with some judgment around this, and now you're kind of taking that material inwardly. You're looking at it, you're sorting through it. Libra energy factoring in there. There's something here, like I said, something's being revealed. It used to be buried, it used to be hidden, but I feel like there's some kind of unveiling happening here. You might have a lot coming up subconsciously. You might have a lot coming up in your past. And you're entering a phase of like learning something new here. I do feel like there's something coming through. There's something that was hidden that you weren't aware of before that is coming to light here. This could be in relation to a child. This could be in relation to an earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. This could be something that in some way rocks your stability a little bit, right? It might get your root cellar rock and rolling a little bit there, right? These are matters of safety, security, feeling really rooted, grounded, at home in yourself, at home in your situation. And I do feel like there's something you're learning here that's sort of like waking up a part of you. It may wake up a part of you that wants to win at any cost or have success at any cost, just with the way this is coming in. We also have to look at the house of Pisces. That 12th house is also about hidden enemies. So this could be, you know, learning about somebody that you considered a friend or somebody that you have familiarity with has been keeping something from you, and this sort of pits you against this person. And it sort of like stirs up this desire to get even with this person in some cases, all right? Whatever you're learning here, it's inspiring some kind of action. And this needs to be internalized and really looked at, like what is causing this desire? What is causing this desire? There is something really karmic going on here with justice, very strong Libra energy. And there's a little bit of subterfuge here, I have to say, with the Page of Swords. Now, this is about you looking into a situation, but you're looking into it internally. This is about understanding the ways that you are the saboteur in this situation. It's funny because that energy of the hidden enemy, Libra is the house of open enemies, right? And your house is the house of hidden enemies. So when we're looking at the Page of Swords, we're looking at stuff that's on the down low, something that's secretive, something that's hidden. And this could be in connection with an Emperor energy here, okay? Aries energy, Taurus energy, very strongly coming through here. It doesn't have to be. But this is also about the desire to transform the karmic cycles, 808 on the clock in relation to that, okay? 808 is an angel number about being on the right track. So there is something that's really dinging here. There could be an emperor factoring into this situation. And when I also think of the emperor, I think of the desire to have power or control in a situation as well. The desire to be top dog, okay? That energy comes through very, very strongly with Aries. It is that position of authority, okay? And Aries is in the North Node. So with the way this is just laying out, there's this process you're going through right now to figure out what is sabotaging the closing of a karmic cycle, so you can actually end that chapter of your life and elevate the energy, move up to your destiny, your North Node. But there's an alchemical process that needs to happen here, and it's happening on the internal planes. And this is about first you healing yourself, pouring into yourself. I think you're needing some peace, you're needing some restoration, you're needing to fill your cup, right? This is very important. You might be doing some spiritual cleansing at this time too, and I think that that could be very helpful for you. And of course, connecting with your element, connecting with water, you know, tuning into the water frequencies, spending time by the water, to just let yourself cleanse your emotions, release what you're feeling. You may also find your creativity a really wonderful source for just integrating what's coming up emotionally here. Now, when we're looking at Pluto retrograde, and especially when we're looking at it in terms of where it first began its backslide in Aquarius, we're looking at ways that we want to rebel, okay? So there's some place here where you're wanting to rebel emotionally. You're wanting to rebel, and you may want to like raise your voice. You may have something to say. You may feel very emotional about a situation because you feel like there's this outside force exerting control on you, on your ability to have that freedom of emotional expression, okay? or you may view that something is in your way or is creating a controlling influence from you having some kind of new emotional beginning you're wanting. But this is about looking at what is getting in the way within yourself. I feel like with the Page of Swords here, Page of Swords can be an energy of snooping, you know, it can be sort of getting into other people's business. It can be looking at what other people are doing or trying to figure out their next move. And so there's a clear indication here that it's time to stop trying to learn about what other people are up to or what's going on in their life or their circumstances. And there's a necessity to turn the energy inward and understand, why are you so caught up in what somebody else is doing, what's going on with them? Because there is this energy here of betrayal. There's a little like tricky, sneaky behavior here. And with it coming in with the Page of Swords, I don't like the intention around that. This can be something where it's like the unhealed parts of ourselves is getting activated. And there's a little bit too much focus on the other. And there's a need to understand the way that that can actually sabotage yourself here, right? Yeah, this is being brought to an end. There's some kind of major ending, release happening here. You may be dealing with a Scorpio. Okay, that's possible. There may have been something that came up very strongly in Scorpio season last year. So back in October, November last year, something might have really come to a close. There might have been some accountability at that time. I do feel there's a loss of trust in a situation, and you're grappling with this. You're grappling with this. There's some kind of competitive energy here. There's sneaking around. There's paying too much attention to what's going on with others. This could be you. This could be somebody in connection with you. Okay. But either way, what I see is that there is a need to move away from this energy and sort of get your own balance, get your own perspective, because there's definitely like a little bit of a battle that's been going on here, right? I see that. There's been a lot thrown back and forth in this situation. There could be arguments. There could be boundaries being put down. Somebody could have been blocking out, you know, blocking out another, blocking out time and space for themselves. Somebody's really been through the ringer here and they're tired, okay? They're tired of fending off perhaps other people's judgments, other people's opinions, other people's input, right? So this can be almost an invasive sort of energy. I think it's important right now during this cycle that you do really like block out time, space for yourself so you can arrive at your truth. And from that point, then you'll know the best way to communicate moving forward. Now, there might be a significant opportunity for communication coming in on June 2nd when there is a trine with Jupiter, which will be in Gemini at that time, and Pluto. This provides like a magnifying glass. It allows you to see a certain truth that you couldn't see before, but you're not going to discover this from outside of yourself. It may be sparked by something getting revealed, you know, in a situation you're dealing with or in a certain relationship that you're involved in that stirs you up, makes you reactive. But it's very important at that time that you actually turn the energy inward. This is the empowering way to work with this cycle. And in doing that, you'll be able to pinpoint something within you that's been sort of like throwing a wrench in the works. And from there, you'll know a more effective way to move forward. I feel like you'll also know what you need to cut off, what you need to draw a line under, and also what needs to be communicated, what your core truth is, and how to express that in such a way where it can be received. You may find that where communication did come to a close, and maybe quite brutally, there might have been like a sense of betrayal, like being stabbed in the back in this situation. Okay, something came to a real kind of bitter end here. There could be an opportunity to have your truth received or communication to open up. This may be coming in through a Gemini. This can also represent just sort of the polarities operating there. When we think of Gemini, we think of being in two minds about something, not sure, you know, if it's this or that, okay? And you might feel that within yourself. You might be experiencing this with another. It's like a power struggle. There's some kind of back and forth dynamic here, push-pull dynamics here. Somebody trying to have too much control in a situation, all right? And it's really about understanding that whatever we're seeing exhibited outside of ourselves is already happening within us. That's why we're getting this coming up in our connections, in our relationships. This is how we can all, you know, collectively, no matter what our sign is. And the reality is we express all of the different signs in the zodiac at one time or another. So this is really just about polishing the mirror. Because if we do this work and we really understand that, oh, okay, this problem, this issue that I'm having is reflecting something within me that needs addressing, something within me that needs to be brought to conscious awareness, something within me that needs to be healed, then we can arrive at a solution where there can be a way to move forward progressively when we get to the fall and we have Capricorn going direct on the 11th of October with Pluto there, okay? Capricorn will already be direct. Capricorn's not retrograde. Pluto is retrograde in Capricorn. But you catch my drift, okay? There's also another point when there can be time to take a positive action. First, it's external. Even on, you know, June 2nd, when you get this positive trine coming in, it's merely illuminating something for you. It's shining a light on an area that needs transformation. It may come in through communication because Gemini is the house of communication. This communication might put you at odds within yourself. It might have you in two minds about something. You might feel divided about this. I feel like it's coming through something that's revealed. Something that was hidden is revealed, and this sort of like puts you in this place. And the best way to get through that and bring an end to this sort of like push-pull dynamic is just come into the center of yourself and let it magnify for you what needs to be highlighted here. Then on July 21st, right as we start to move into Leo season and things get cooking, you'll have another trine coming in, and that's Mars trine Pluto. This is when you got the initiative. You know what action needs to be taken. You know what step needs to be made to transform the situation. And I do see you taking a strong action at that time. Okay, but first you've got to deal with the saboteur within. All right, the Seven of Swords here. This is a very sneaky, tricky aspect. It can be slippery. It's something that's under even your radar. You have not discovered this part of yourself yet, but it will come to the surface, right? And it has something to do with this dynamic you're dealing with. There's a lot of lack of trust here. There's competitiveness here. There's sneaking around. There's betrayal. There's loss of some kind of ground, I just heard, and that makes sense because when we're looking at the Seven of Wands, it's like somebody really like defending their position, defending their post. There's some kind of loss of ground here as well. And the ground is gained by looking at the inner terrain, all right? And then you'll get a movement forward here, but there's a riddle to solve first with the Sphinx energy and a need to move out of kind of like the polarized view to come into center. 1911 on the clock. First the ending, then the alignment. That's the way it's coming in. Any more details about this for Pisces? Any more details about this for Pisces? What does Pisces need to know about this part of the journey? Yeah. There's a resistance to letting go here. I see that, but it's not the time to move forward. With the Eight of Wands in reverse, whatever actions have been taken and at this time, any kind of manipulation, trying to manipulate outcomes at this time, it will backfire. With the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, you know, the work is inner, it's not outer at this time. And there is this desire to kind of rush forward when you're needing to stay put and do the inner work. The movement is inner right now, not outer. But I feel like there's a lot of mounting frustration around this. Like it or not, you know, the Hanged Man does not get released from being held up at the crossroads until the right action is taken. See, sometimes we just feel like we got to get things moving. And so we go with that impulsiveness, we rush forward, and then everything becomes a big mess. And it's because the proper inner work has not been done yet that facilitates the correct movement that moves us out of the crossroads, okay? This is a hand of faith. You can't resist this. You can't turn this around by force. You know, this is for your own well-being, that you get a different perspective here. When you get the perspective, and I think you will, you know, obviously it's going to come in, but all in due time. I feel like in Leo season is when you get a certain illumination that frees you from this holding pattern. Because this is my timing card, okay? 8 of Wands. This for me is always like 2 months, you know, 8 weeks. 8 weeks. Around then, it'll be time to move. If it was upright, I could say, well, this might happen really soon. This might be within 8 hours or 8 days. But with it in reverse, it's like, cool your jets. You don't have all the information here. And there's a lot you need to understand about what's coming up in you at this time. There needs to be less focus on the external and more focus on the internal. That's what I'm seeing here. It's very clear. I know you got a fire lit here with the Queen of Wands. You're feeling very passionate about this, whatever this matter is. All right. But there's a way to bring the fire forward in such a way where it's cathartic, it's transformational, it's activating, and it blazes a new trail. And there's a way to use your fire where it's out of balance, where the passions are out of control, where it becomes destructive. And so you're in a tempering process right now. I see that. I think your action comes in Leo season. Again, strong Leo indication. You could be dealing with somebody who has strong Leo placement in their chart. You could be dealing with any fire sign energy. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. We did have an Aries indication here, so that's another Aries message coming in. I feel like whatever is happening here, you feel the desire to really stand in your power and move independently here. And you don't want anybody telling you what to do. And you may be dealing with another person who feels just as strongly in that regard, I have to say. Any other details here for Pisces before we start to dive into how this will be externalized in the fall? Anything else about this inner work that Pisces needs to be aware of with this Pluto retrograde cycle? That's interesting. There were cards that wanted to come out there and then they kind of like came back in. So I do feel like you might be wanting to play a hand right now the second time that happened. You need to refrain. You got to play your cards close to your chest right now because there's something you're not seeing here. And once you see it, it's going to change the way you move forward. You're going to have a different view of a situation. Okay. This is here. Any further details? Okay. Yeah. It's not time to be immersed in the drama. It's not time to be immersed in the conflict. It's not time to charge forward, butt heads with people. This is what you'll encounter. You'll just get entangled into a big mess. Nothing will be resolved if you rush with going forward with this. It's like drop the fight. Don't struggle with it. Let go. And just turn the attention within. Now it's interesting because this card here landed right on top of the deck that I'm going to use for bringing in clarification, the Halloween Oracle. So I'm going to take this top card right now. We'll still bring in the clarification at the end, but I feel like this is related to the necessity to drop whatever this conflict, this dispute, this disagreement, this competitiveness, whatever this energy is. It looks like a real, like, you know, mess. It looks like a messy situation. It looks like too many people involved in a situation that have created an infinite cosmic mess. And there's something here inside, too, that's all mixed up within you. And so it's about letting the waters settle so something can be seen clearly, all right? Let's see what this is about. Yeah, if you hold off, okay? Look at that. When the fall comes, there's joy. You know, when the hangman turns around with correct timing here, There's illumination that has you dancing. It has you feeling a sense of freedom. It gives you a different perspective. There's also joy about what fell away. You recognize it was time to release certain things. It moves you into greater expansion. I see this coming in for you in the fall once Capricorn is, hosting Pluto, and Pluto goes direct in that sign on October 11th, okay? There's some kind of release here, a release from at one time you were struggling to let go, but you recognize, no, this really is for the best. And there's happiness that comes in here for you. And the best thing you can do at this time is just really sink into the present moment, enjoy the present moment, find the simple pleasure in the present moment without focusing too much on advancing at this time. Give it a rest. Just give it a rest for, 8 weeks, 2 months. Once it hits Leo season, you will be taking an action. Now, this could be in relation to some kind of communication that needs to be issued. It may be with a fire sign. This could be a fire sign approaching you. It could be you approaching a fire sign. Strong Sagittarius indications, but it could be any fire sign. I definitely saw a lot of Aries influence on the board and Leo influence for you. So it could be any of the fire signs, really. All right. And this is about opening up a new direction of exploration. You got to travel light, though, to open up this chapter. You can't bring all the heaviness of the past with you. You might not even be able to bring a lot tangibly, physically with you. There might be the need to kind of like travel light in all aspects of that. Again, strong Aries indication. Aries, Aquarius indications there. What's behind this? Yeah, but right here, you see, this is why you need to sort through what's going on internally here, because there's this sense of being held back. There's this sense of confusion. There's this sense of intellectualizing something that doesn't want overanalyzation. It wants you to drop more into your feeling and to stay in your inner experience here and recognize that you're not stuck. And you're not some victim of circumstance. You have the ability to transform your situation, right? And you do have the strength to overcome challenges of the past. And this could be around a Leo. There's a lot of hurt in this situation. There's wounding in this situation where there's been, aggression, where there's been fights. This has come from a place of hurt. There's something really deeply rooted here that is needed to be overcome. And you have to first really understand what is activating in you that's related to your past before you'll be able to overcome this challenge. It does require you to move into a place of emotional mastery here. You can't just fly off the handle. And it does involve the deep dive of the high priestess, your energy here, okay, where you really need to sink in and find the balancing point between the shadow and light. This is also calling your soul parts back. This is integrating your shadow. It's Persephone's deep dive to dance with the devil and come to understand herself better, the parts of herself that have been veiled from her. And it's only when those parts are called back and integrated. And these can be the shadowy aspects, the parts that maybe we're not so proud of. It can be the parts of us that we feel shame around or guilt around, okay, or judgment around that we've internalized that need to be integrated and healed. And then there's the emerging from that time of integration to the growth that comes through the Empress, through the exalted South Node energy. That's when that Libra energy transforms into the Empress. And there can be the rise up to the North Node and the start of the new cycle. But this is what needs to happen first. I feel like you're doing shadow integration. What's behind this here? Yes. And if you do that, look at this. I love the way it comes through. If you do this, by the time you hit that Leo season, you're tossing away those veils of illusion and you're moving into the joy. You're moving into the light building phase. You're getting to the other side of this, right? This is success. This is happiness. This is also healing the inner child, okay? And for some of you, a child may factor into this situation, we had Queen of Swords, and on the other side here, we have King of Swords. So I do feel like this could be in relation to a past relationship or a past connection, and really looking at what is the reality of the situation as opposed to the fantasy of it with the Ten of Cups here. Any final details with this? Any final details with this? Cut the deck. There's some inequity here that needs to be balanced out. There's a person in this situation who has exercised too much control in this matter. And there's two people here who've been at a disadvantage. And there's something that needs to be balanced out here. This to me is sort of representing, just with everything else that came in here, some kind of third party dynamic. And a third party can be an interfering friend. It can be an interfering lover. It can be an interfering family member, or some kind of circumstance or situation that caused two individuals to be put in a disempowered position. And there's some kind of debt that needs to be paid here to balance things out. But first, you have to really come to the correct conclusion about that before you can move forward. And I feel like you're going to arrive there, right? Because here's the growth. This is pre-Empress energy. So I feel like as this energy moves into Capricorn in its retrograde motion, you're really doing the work, you know, and you're looking good, and you're feeling good, and you're feeling healthy, and you're feeling whole, and you're starting to experience all those blockages falling away. There's a moving forward. You're feeling empowered. You're feeling very strong in your position, and there's a lot that's growing and blooming in your life. But that can only happen once we face the Tower, okay? So there does need to be this grand reveal, okay? There does need to be this moment that's a little bit shocking, you know? It's like a shock wave. But though it does bring up some grief to be processed, it also allows you to release what needs to be released from the past and that third party dynamic, so you can see the potential of facing the future and the alignment that's up ahead when you have that forward motion of Pluto in Capricorn on October 11th. I think fall is going to be a time of alignment for you. Absolutely. Okay. So there's a relationship that's being healed here. You could be dealing with a Leo. There's something that went down in the past, and there's a healing that needs to happen here. And with the Two of Cups, the Two of Cups can be healing that happens with a lover, healing that happens with a friend, healing that happens with a family member. But there's two people here who are finally able to see eye to eye. You know, there's not one person who's kind of holding all the control or the power in the situation. You see this? There's a balancing of the scales that happens at this time. And that's what brings the healing and also that elevation into the North Node, right? So something's being balanced out and righted here, but I feel like that doesn't come until the fall, right? There is this letting go process first. There's a lot to sort through before this can be facilitated, because there's something that has been unhealthy in this dynamic, and it's a very sabotaging influence. It's something that's been hidden, but it will be revealed. For some of you, it's going to be a third party that's revealed in your situation. For some of you, you played the role of the third party, okay? For others of you, it's just an aspect of yourself or your motivations, your inner longings, like a part of yourself that maybe you repressed, that you felt like you had to hide or conceal in some way. And it's going to just start to bubble up so much that you can't suppress it anymore. But before you can really externalize it, actualize it in your reality, there's a need to really look at all aspects of that, integrate it, understand the motivations there, understand the subconscious motivations. And it's through kind of shedding away, doing this, like sorting the wheat from the chaff, that you go through this inner alchemy and you arrive in that place of true empowerment, where the actions you take do lead to abundance and growth and beauty blooming in your life, which is the hope for outcome, right? Yeah. And it also leads to personal fulfillment here with the Nine of Cups, all right? So this looks really good to me. Let's go ahead and get you an overarching theme. All right, yes, look at this, forgiveness, okay? So there's some kind of healing and release that needs to happen here. And I often say sometimes forgiveness is just as simple as letting go. Remember, I brought in that piece that said travel light, and look, it says reducing burden here. White rose may be a really excellent flower essence for you to work with. Some of you that are gardeners may even want to experiment with making your own flower essences. White rose in particular, okay? You may want to do a white bath. It's sort of like a cleansing of the old energy, but it also invites in blessing energy. Usually you bring together 5 different white ingredients for a white bath. You might want to include white rose petals in that. You could use cream, you could use coconut milk. Okay, these are just some ideas, but it's very focused on bringing in that purity of like the white healing light, you know, through the bath. And it cleanses away like the old, but it also brings in like a blessing way kind of energy. Blessing way coming in, the child piece did come in. Again, there may be a child in connection with this. There may be a love child in connection with this situation. That could be a hidden element that's being revealed here. It's not for everybody. It's coming in for somebody though. Okay. So this is about forgiveness. Makes me think of the heart of the matter, right? The Don Henley song. The heart of the matter. It's about forgiveness. Even if you don't love me anymore. It's the lyric of the song. There might be something there, okay? Might be something there to just hold space for internally. You may be dealing with somebody who wants to just let go. That's what they want to do. And you might be having a hard time finding acceptance with that. Maybe you want a continuation of the connection on some level, and this person feels like they need to just release it. This could be something that's coming up for you to grapple with, move through, work through here. Okay. What is the overarching theme for Pisces in this situation? I feel really strongly with your read that you're closing up a cycle, a karmic cycle of something that went down last fall. I mean, I think everybody has those themes, but I'm feeling it really strongly with you. Yeah, and definitely there's something new emerging in you here with werewolf, exploring wildness, okay? So like I said, I think there's a part of you that's been suppressed for a really long time. And holding this back inside of you, it's like a caged animal. You know, you got to let this out. You got to let this out. But it's about really understanding this aspect of your nature, this feral part of your nature, so that as you do let this come out and you let yourself be who you were here to truly be, that you're really doing that in an embodied way where it's instinctual and it's not ruled by, you know, just sort of like vices or passion, impulsiveness. You know, there's a way to be in our wild nature and have it be like a source of mana, a source of spiritual richness, illumination. There might be something that comes in around this for you with the Sagittarian full moon that's coming up on the 23rd. This might be a time when you let a wild part of yourself out. Maybe you just need to go out and howl at the moon on that day. It's possible. I've done that before. It feels really good to howl at the moon, you know, just to let that energy out. It also reminds me of that, oh, it's like a parable about why does the wolf howl at the moon? Because the wolf loves the moon so much, but knows that they can never be together. Ugh. There's something pretty deep happening here. This might even, you know, go to the place of it feels like past life connection stuff for you. Ooh, and with that, everything came out, and there's stuff that landed on the floor there. There's something you need to remember here, okay? A little bit cautionary advice coming in here. We got vampire, emotional intelligence. Look, there's the moon symbolism here too. So there is like a parasitic kind of connection here. And I feel like you need to use your intelligence here, your emotional intelligence. Again, internalizing it, not just being impulsive, throwing caution to the wind. There's something you really need to understand here about the way that your power is being drained by just kind of going after something that may be seductive or enticing and not recognizing the way that it's actually energy harvesting off of you. Or do you have this tendency? Okay, because it's a secret part of you that's being revealed. There's something you need to remember here. And with that, this is pretty wild. All of this ended up on the floor, and I did say more than any other sign so far. I felt that you're closing up a karmic cycle that has something to do with last fall. Oh my goodness. Pisces, got trick or treat, mischief, and play. So I do feel like something happened last fall, and it had something to do with some temptation. It could have been some kind of sensual temptation, right? Risk and reward. You know, there was some kind of risk taken here. It might have seemed like it was a little harmless play, but there's something here about being aware that you need to exercise more emotional intelligence in this situation, because there is a draining of power happening here. And there's something that's veiled from you that you have yet to see. This is coming in the future. Like I said, there's some secret that's going to be revealed to you here, and it's going to change the way you move forward. But right now you're blindfolded. You might be blinded by your passion. You might be blinded by temptation. You might be blinded by seduction. But what seems mischief and play actually does carry a risk with it. And right behind this, it's kind of like hiding out. Isn't that interesting? And yes, it could be this temptation that has direct result in what needs to be forgiven. There's something that's being tidied up here. There's a wild white rose right there. It's like somebody went for the temptation over what would truly bring healing, peace in a situation. And that's what was sacrificed. At what cost? It brings us back to the original message. At what cost for victory? You know, is it worth it? Only you can determine that. And you might be in a place right now where you're just thinking about what you want out of it, as opposed to what's really at cost here. And there's something you don't see here, something you're not aware of yet. Let me do a cut of the deck here. I haven't felt so compelled to go more deeply into these particular clarifying cards as I am with your sign. I find it very fascinating. I mean, we're all moving through karmic cycles right now, so perhaps that's why I feel like the need to dig a little deeper here. Cut the deck. The Witch. Okay. And the Black Cat. Fortune meets opportunity. Okay. So there is something that happened in the past here. There was a little mischief in play. This could even be a little mischief in play, perhaps to gain some power, to get a little reward that was done on a magical level with the way that witch came in. With the Black Cat, I mean, with the familiar, I have to say. This may still be kind of like in the shadows. It's what you need to deal with, integrate. That might be why some of you are at the crossroads here and know you have to stay put, because there's something you need to understand in order to be able to really get the uses of power and the responsibility that comes with that, especially in terms of manifestation. There may have been a reward that you succumbed to. It's something you really wanted. You wanted to create this. It might have brought out the little witchy side in you where you're like, I don't care. I want what I want. You know what I'm saying? But it does seem like this is sort of clinging. The energy is clinging a little bit and needs to be cleared out. But what you can't see is that on the other side of this, what was a reversal or a negative cycle or maybe perceived bad luck actually arrives you at a place where fortune meets opportunity. Another thing that I want to bring in around this is it's giving me big, like crossed vibes, okay? So how do we cross ourselves? Others don't cross us. We cross ourselves. We cross ourselves by what we believe and what we invest in. And when we tell ourselves a certain story, we create our own bad luck. So I think you might want to do some uncrossing work, actually. It could be really beneficial for you. And it's interesting. I feel like, you know, there's something here. There's something here. Your ancestors are kind of trying to reach out to you in regard to this. Maybe you come from a line of healers. Maybe you come from a bloodline of shamans, of witches, okay? But there's something that wants to awaken in you here. It's in your DNA. And it says ancestors, the love and legacy of our DNA. I encourage you, if you haven't made time to sort of like tap into your ancestral lineage here, that you do so. Learn about your roots. Learn about the gifts of your ancestors. I feel like you're getting some kind of awakening that's happening here. But I also feel like they're going to help you turn around some regret here that's been haunting you a little bit. And right now you might not know the best way to do that. That might be why the future is veiled to you. But again, strength comes in again. And it's going to help you overcome these challenges. You do have the strength to do this, but I feel like the strength comes from the bones, man. It comes from the bones. It comes from the bloodline. It comes from your ancestors. So they need you to turn within too, so they can reveal this to you. Because there's something you're not seeing here that you really need to understand. It's your blind spot. And the 12th house is a blind spot. And what's important to note here is that when we got Pluto going retrograde into Capricorn, and then it's forward motion there on October 11th, it's going down in your 11th house. And so the 11th house is all about your community, your social circle, your friendships, your network, what's going on the World Wide Web, right? So you really need to get in touch with this before it goes direct, because when it goes direct, whatever's being externalized, it's going to be happening, you know, all in your community, in your social circle, in your friendships, in your family connections, in all your connections, in your networks, and it can have a really great effect. So be very mindful of this right now. It's very important, but it looks like you do have the strength to turn something around, reverse a regret, and it'll bring you a lot of joy, all right? And it is about letting a certain side of yourself be seen that you've repressed up till now. But first,